set? Okay. Good evening, everybody. We're ready to begin tonight's Gardena City Council meeting for Tuesday, February the 11th, 2020. Madam City Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Madam Mayor, all members of the council are present.
Okay, thank you. Madam City Attorney, is there anything to report from closed session?
No, Madam Mayor, no reportable action was taken tonight.
Okay, thank you. So at this time, we're going to begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Tonight, it will be led by Miranda Gueron and Chris Contreras. Immediately following that, our invocation will be led by the Reverend John Ward. So at this time, I'm going to ask if everyone can please stand. And our pledges, please come forward.
Please place your right hand over your heart and face the flag. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please continue standing, Reverend Ward.
May we pray. Almighty God, our Father, our Lord, our Creator and our Sustainer, we worship you and we praise you because of who you are. And we give thanks to you because of all the blessings you pour into our lives every day. We ask tonight that in your Holy Spirit you would preside over this meeting. We ask that you would gift each member of this council, each elected official, and each staff member with contentment through meeting their every physical need, with happiness through people they love who return their love, and with joy through reconciliation and fellowship with you. Father, on behalf of every citizen of our family community, we ask you to guide your children, empower your children, and heal your children on every level. We ask all these things in the powerful and eternal name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
You may be seated. If I could have our two pledgers come back to the front, please. So tonight's Pledge of Allegiance was led by two students. The first one is Miranda Gueron. She is a 12th grader, and Chris Contreras, he is a 12th grader also. Both attend Pacific Lutheran Junior and Senior High School, and their principal is Mr. Lucas Fitzgerald. Miranda and Chris were chosen to participate in tonight's council meeting because they are officers on the Pacific Lutheran Student Council. So let's begin tonight with Miranda. Can you tell us who you brought with you tonight?
Okay, so I brought my father with me tonight.
Right there.
And yeah, he's done a lot, so.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Dad, for bringing her out tonight. Give her a round of applause. And is there anything you'd like to say?
No, just thank you for having us. It really does mean a lot.
Okay, thank you. Chris, can you tell us who brought you tonight? Or not who brought you, but who came along with you? You're a senior, I'm sorry.
My mother.
Your mother, where's she at? Right there? Okay, give her a round of applause, everyone. Okay. And is there anything you'd like to say?
Just like to thank you again for having us. It means a lot.
Okay. Well, thank you guys both for leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Congratulations on being 12th graders. This is your senior year for you. And thanks for being officers on your student council. That's a big deal. So thank you for that. Everyone give them a final round of applause. Okay, thank you. You can take your seat now. We can have Pastor Ward come back to the front, please. So tonight's invocation was led by the Reverend John E. Ward, who is the senior pastor and minister of music at First Southern Baptist Church of Gardena, which is located at 1025 Marine Avenue. Reverend Ward has served at First Southern Baptist Church for over 45 years. He was called to serve as an associate pastor in September of 1974 and was officially ordained as the minister of the gospel in 1976, and has been the church's senior pastor and minister of music since April of 1996. In addition to his preaching, teaching, ministry, and his music-related activities with his choir and congregation, Pastor Ward composes, arranges, and teaches choral and instrumental music, and is a freelance professional jazz trombonist. Reverend Ward also supports and has participated in numerous City of Gardena programs and community functions. He and his wife, Nancy, have been married for 57 years. They have 4 children, 10 grandchildren, and 15 great-grandchildren. Pastor Ward, would you like to say anything? There you go.
Nancy writes a very nice biography, doesn't she? She really does. I thank you so much, Mayor Serta, all of you on the council, for giving me the honor of giving voice to a prayer on your behalf tonight. In a time when fewer and fewer cities are doing that, taking time to pray and even salute the flag. You're a wonderful example to follow. I think, in my opinion, you are in perfect alignment with the documents of the founding of our great nation. Our Constitution, that promises the freedom to exercise religion as each individual is convicted. I appreciate you so much. Thank you, and God bless you.
Okay. Thank you, and thank you for those kind words. So next we have our military veteran that we will be recognizing. And tonight it is Councilmember Medina's turn. And would you like to say a few words about your veteran? And tonight's person is Adolphus Tate Jr. Councilmember?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm very proud of the fact that we're honoring a Vietnam veteran. That was a situation at that time where a lot of veterans were not thanked for their service. And this is one gentleman who deserves a thank you. And there are a lot of gentlemen out there and ladies that deserve the thank yous from the local government. We're very blessed that we honor our veterans, and we're very blessed that they're here to be honored, number one. In the process of honoring them for their service, we also give them a commemorative coin, and we give them a video of tonight's presentation. And obviously, for those of you who drive by Western and Redondo Beach Boulevard, right where that Jumbotron is with Honda, their picture will be up there for a couple of weeks. In fact, the first person I honored was Joan Mitchell, and she's been up there for 2 months. But the point is that we're honoring our military. We're honoring those who sacrificed 2, 4, 6, 8 years of their lives to protect our nation and give you the freedom to do and say what you can do and say now. So again, my hat's off to Mr. Tate, and God bless you, and thank you for your service.
Okay, as a council, go ahead. As Councilmember Medina makes his way down to present our honorary coin, I'm just going to read the bio for Mr. Tate here. It says, born in Terrell, Arkansas, Mr. Adolphus Tate Jr. is 77 years old and a longtime resident of Gardena. Military service. When 22 years old, Mr. Tate enlisted in the U.S. Army on December 18, 1964, and served on active duty until he was honorably discharged on September 23, 1966, and remained in the reserve service until December 17, 1970. When discharged, his Army specialty was Power Generation Specialist at the rank of Specialist 4TE4. His Army service was in South Korea with the HHB 1st Tab 25 Artillery 1 Corps under the 4th Missile Command a major subordinate command of the U.S. 8th Army, and was stationed at Camp Page near Churchon, South Korea. The camp's major feature was an airstrip that was built after Churchon was recaptured from communist forces in March 1951. The soldiers at Camp Page contributed greatly to the post-war restoration of Churchon. The military forces at Camp Page also played an important role defending the region against the threats of North Korea, which was so close to Churchon in Gangwon province, which borders the demilitarized zone separating the two Koreas. For Specialist Adolphus Tate military service, he was awarded the following: the Good Conduct Medal, the National Defense Service Medal. So it was mentioned earlier, but I'm just going to repeat it again. In addition to receiving tonight's recognition, Mr. Tate is also being presented with a special coin that Councilmember Medina just presented to honor those military veterans of Gardena who are extended their appreciation by the Gardena City Council for their service to our country. Mr. Tate will also receive complimentary photos and a DVD of tonight's meeting. One of the photographs that were taken with the members of the council tonight will be displayed in the future on the electronic sign located at the northwest corner of Western Avenue and Redondo Beach Boulevard. Congratulations, honorary veteran Adolphus Tate, Jr.
First of all, I'd like to give thanks to our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ and all of his workers and all of those who are responsible for having me here this evening. As was indicated earlier, during the Vietnam crisis, we were not recognized for the work we were doing. You know, it was, I won't go to all of it, but we had eggs thrown at us when we got back to the States. And Dan knows exactly what I'm speaking of, so, and some of the other vets knows, but thank you very much for recognizing. You know, now I feel like a super person now. Yeah, that's why they call me Superman's grandson. But anyway. I'd like to introduce my wife, Patricia Dawson Tate.
I've been married to Superman's grandson for 50 years in December. And he is
My grandson, Nathaniel Jackson. And then my daughter, my oldest daughter, Cherie Lavelle Jackson. And this Robin. Robin is, listen to her. Robin, and no cell phones. See the sign? No cell phone. Then my daughter, Faith Elizabeth Ann Scott, and my grandson, Teron Jackson, my son-in-law, Teron Jackson. But I won't hold you long because you have a lot of work to get done. So I just say, kamsahamnida.
Okay. Thank you again. Okay, awesome. So next we have a proclamation here. February 2020 is Black History Month. Black History Month is observed nationwide during February each year to recognize the past achievements and current status of African Americans in our country. As it coincides with the birthday of the great Black leader Frederick Douglass on February 14th and the birthday of U.S. President Abraham Lincoln on February 12th, the observance was officially established as Black History Month in February of 1976. The Gardena Holly Park Youth Affairs Alliance initiated the observance of Black History Month in our community as part of the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. birthday commemorative activities, in the belief that the role of history in the life of a people is to give them the kind of measurement as to where they have been and where they are now. And if they understand history correctly, then they will have some definition of what they must become. Gardena's annual activities during February 2020 will include an afternoon in the park celebration featuring College Row, cheer showcase, food trucks, 2020 census resources, and retail booths, live entertainment, and more on Saturday, February 29th at Raleigh Park from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. The event will provide the community with an opportunity to reflect on the strengths of Black heritage and family lifestyle, as well as providing African American citizens with a positive sense of racial identity. So I proclaim February 20th to be Black History Month in the city of Gardena and urge the citizens of our multicultural community to take part in activities planned on our annual Black History Month observance. Okay, moving on to the next item, item number C, which is appointments. Does any member of the council have any appointments to any commissions, committees, councils, or boards at this time? No? We're going to move on to consent calendar. Does any member of the council have any items that they would like to discuss separately? No? Madam City Clerk, has anyone from the public requested to discuss any items under the consent calendar as well?
No, Madam Mayor.
Okay. If not, can I approve the consent calendar at this time with a motion?
So moved.
Okay. Madam City Clerk, there was a motion made by Councilmember Medina and a second by Councilmember Tanaka. Will you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Medina.
Yes.
Councilmember Tanaka. Mayor Pro Tem Cascanian.
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson.
Yes.
Mayor Serta.
Yes. Okay, next is Planning and Environmental Quality Commission action sheet. Just of note, February 4th, 2020, the meeting was canceled. We next move on to oral communications. Tonight we only have one speaker. That person is Cheryl Sherman. Just want to, as a formality here, remind our speaker that we 3 minutes is the limit. And when the red light comes on, when the yellow light comes on, that will alert you that your 2 minutes are up. And when the red light comes on, that will alert you that your 3 minutes are up. So unless extended by myself, we ask at that time if you can just wrap it up. So we'll go ahead and begin with you, Ms. Sherman.
Good evening, Cheryl Sherman, Vice President of Friends of Gardena Willows Wetland Preserve, and my address is a matter of record. I want to this evening talk about several things, and the first being we have a new animal in the preserve. A lot of strange faces up there looking at me. We have a new birdie. The birdie is a nut-tail woodpecker. And we are very excited. The last time, according to the records that I've been able to research, the last time one was seen in the preserve was in 1998. So this is a really good sign of things turning around. And I say this because as we make changes in the preserve and add more in native plants and eliminate more invasive plants, it's more inviting to the creatures to come. Because when the invasive plants are there, a lot of them are not inviting to the creatures. Okay? I can give you an example. The ivy. The ivy is of no interest to any bird. The ivy is of no interest to any butterfly. The ivy may be of interest to a lizard, maybe as a hiding place. Okay? So this is what I'm talking about by eliminating the invasives.
I'm sorry, just if we can wrap it up just a little bit.
Okay. The second thing I want to talk about tonight is I generally don't ask or talk about donations, but I'd like to share with everyone and remind everyone that we are a nonprofit organization, and there are two ways that you can help us. One is becoming a member of the Friends of Gardena Willows Wetland Preserve, and you can get that information on our website at www.gardenawillows.org. Or you can also, on our website, donate through PayPal. So there are two different ways that you can assist us in our fundraising efforts. Thank you so much, Mayor, for allowing me more time.
All right, thank you, Ms. Sherman. Okay, we're gonna move on to our first item here, item number 8B1. Mr. City Manager.
Mayor Serta, members of the City Council, Agenda Item 8B1 is a public hearing, which is the adoption of the 2019 California State Building Code with local amendments. Ordinance number 1815 is repealing Chapter 1504 of the Gardena Municipal Code and adopting a new Chapter 15.04 that adopts by reference the 2019 California Building Standards Code with amendments, except Part 9, and readopts Section 15.04.020 relating to fees. Resolution number 6424, setting forth findings for required amendments to the 2019 California State Building Code relative to local climate, topographic, and geological conditions. On January 14, 2020, Councilmember Medina introduced ordinance number 1815 to adopt the 2019 California State Building Code with local amendments. Because the ordinance adopts the California State Building Standards Code by reference, state law requires that it first be introduced and then have City Council set a public hearing date. At the same City Council meeting, a public hearing date was scheduled for February 11, 2020, which is today. Resolution number 6424 sets forth the necessary findings to enable the city to amend the new building codes to reflect local conditions relating to seismic safety and local climatic conditions in order to better protect the city. Therefore, staff respectfully recommends the City Council conduct a public hearing, adopt ordinance number 1815 and resolution number 6424, adopting by reference the 2019 California State Building Code with amendments.
Okay, so this is a public hearing. So this time we're going to go ahead and open the hearing. Any member of the council have any comments or questions? Okay, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. City Manager, does any of this, actually, let me phrase it again. Does the paint coat or that we discussed a few meetings ago, does it fall in this, under this ordinance, or?
No, it does not. That's more of a aesthetics, and we would have to adopt a different ordinance for that type of views.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Madam City Clerk, has anybody from the public asked to speak on this item?
No, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. This time we're going to go ahead and close the public hearing. Before we call for the vote here, I have a question for the attorney. Can we take up ordinance number 1815 and 6424 together, or do we have to do them separately?
I would recommend that you do them separately.
Got it, thank you. Okay, so on ordinance number 1815, can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Madam City Clerk, there was a motion made by Councilmember Medina and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Cascanian. Will you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Medina.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Cascanian.
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Tanaka.
Yes.
Mayor Serta.
Yes. Next up is item resolution number 6424. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Madam City Clerk, there was a motion made by Councilmember Tanaka and a second by Councilmember Medina. Will you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Tanaka.
Yes.
Councilmember Medina.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Cascanian.
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson.
Yes.
Mayor Serta.
Yes. Okay, next up is item number 8C1. Mr. City Manager.
Mayor Serta, members of the City Council, agenda item 8C1 is the first reading of ordinance number 1816, amending section 5.24.170 of the Gardena Municipal Code regarding card club employee work permits. The Gardena Municipal Code currently requires all card club employees to obtain work permits from the city. Recent amendments to state law, specifically AB 649, now allows persons who are 18 to 20 years of age to work in card clubs without a work permit, provided that they do not perform any duties on the floor of the gambling establishment or in connection with playing of card games. In accordance with these changes in state law, it is recommended that the City Council exempt persons who are 18 to 20 years of age from work permit requirements. What's required is to introduce ordinance number 1816, and I just want to add that these persons who are under 21, 18 to 20, when they are in the establishment, they're going to be wearing a badge that's a chest high, and they're going to be that identifies them as specifically persons who are under 21. So they're not solicited for anything that's not suitable for underage
Okay.
individuals.
Thank you. Okay, are there any questions or comments? Councilmember Medina, questions, comments?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. City Manager, what's the fee going to be?
They exempt some from a permit.
Councilman Medina, I don't have that with me. I'm assuming it's the same for the
The employees?
are exempt. They're exempt.
Yeah.
So that'll be at 125 every
No.
3 years?
No, they're exempt. They don't have to pay anything.
Oh, they're exempt. Okay, I'm
Because
sorry.
it's-
I missed that.
It's okay.
Okay, yeah. Okay, thank you.
I have one question. Let's just say we choose not to do that and we want to charge a fee, but less than that. If we're going up against state law, what would the penalties be back at us if we wanted to oppose this? I mean, because, or do we have to go along with it because it's the state law?
The Assembly already passed legislation allowing for the 18 to 20-year-olds. The intent behind the Assembly bill was that it would allow for young members of the community, 18 to 20-year-olds, who could work potentially like washing dishes, allow for them to have additional forms of employment that in the past were not available to them. That was the intent of the legislature, so that it would allow for additional employment opportunities for these young members of our society.
Okay. Councilmember Henderson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. City Manager, in regards to this, never mind, because we won't be able to track them. They won't get a permit, so we won't know who. Never mind.
I have a second question.
Go ahead, Councilmember Medina.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Will they be subject to the same investigation as regular employees, to have a background check as far as criminal activity and felonies and stuff like that?
They would be doing that through the casino. The casino would be the one who would be, since we're not doing it at our local basis and providing these temporary work permits, they are still having to report to the DOJ. The casino is.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any more questions? You look like you have a question.
Well, I do. Well, only because I worked card clubs for many years. So one, we're allowing minors to be in the card club, where they don't even allow minors to go in there and have dinner. So what is the I guess the onus of having, where are these people, who's going to monitor whether or not these minors are not in the card room where they're not supposed to be?
The Assembly bill specifically states they're not allowed on the card floor. If for any purpose, say they're picking up dishes from, customers on the floor, they have to be with a supervisor who does have an actual permit. At no point in time are they allowed on the floor without supervision.
And so the police department is going to have somebody in the card clubs that's going to monitor this?
No, this will be done by the casino.
So this is on a, it's on the honor system.
Well, I mean, if they're found, I'm sure the DOJ is going to be doing routine and, inspections, and if they're found in violation, I think that's the last thing any casino would want.
And so how much revenue are we going to lose off of this at $125 per person?
It's unknown at this point how many people, how many of our casinos would be actually hiring 18 to 20-year-olds, how many applications they would actually have. Again, the intent was, by Assemblymember Cristina Garcia, who brought this forward, was to open the more job opportunities for that age group.
Okay, so Indian casinos, do they have the same policies?
This is only pertaining to card clubs.
Card clubs?
Yeah.
It doesn't pertain to anybody else but us. So we're getting whacked again. Okay, that's right.
Okay, any more questions or comments? If not, can I get somebody to introduce this ordinance?
So moved.
Okay, just for point of clarification, Madam City Clerk, that was introduced by Mayor Pro Tem Cascanian. Okay. Next up is item number 8E1, Mr. City Manager.
Mayor Serta, members of the City Council, agenda item 8E1 is a resolution number 6432, approving the acceptance and award from the State of California Department of Justice, Office of the Attorney General, Tobacco Law Enforcement Program in the amount of $74,817. The Gardena Police Department has received a grant award in the amount of $74,817 from the State of California Department of Justice, Office of the Attorney General, Tobacco Law Enforcement Program. This grant will support the department's goal to educate minors regarding the harmful effects of tobacco use, allow for comprehensive enforcement of state and local tobacco laws, including retailer enforcement, and provide funding for overtime costs and related to these efforts. The grant term is from December 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2022. As part of the grant requirements, the police department executed and submitted a grant award memorandum of understanding between the City of Gardena and the Department of Justice, which outlined the cost reimbursement, budget consistencies, and administration. The police department respectfully requests the City Council adopt resolution number 6432, authorizing the city manager or designated representative or the chief of police to accept the $74,817 grant award from the State of California Department of Justice for education, enforcement of tobacco regulations in the City of Gardena.
Okay, are there any questions? Start with Mayor Pro Tem, then go to Councilmember Henderson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. City Manager, when we apply to those grants, is there a firm or a company or who applies for us this grants?
So at the time when we applied for this grant, we had California Consulting working for us. They did not apply for this grant. The police department did it on their own, and rightfully so, they should be commended for applying and getting the grant on their own.
Good. And do you know how much we apply for? Did we apply exact this amount, or we applied for more and they grant us this?
This is the amount that we applied for. But this is the amount that the grant calls for 2 years.
I see. Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Henderson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. City Manager, in regards to the amount, with that amount, does it give the police department the leeway to work with some of our community-based organizations in regards to the educational portion of it? Do we have that latitude, and what's going to be that process to
Right.
select
So
those?
about $8,400 for salary, and that's including working with communities and educating them, and also about $12,000 of that is overtime. I'm assuming for enforcement purposes, sting operations and whatnot. But there is the component, and absolutely the education component is included in there.
Thank you.
But it doesn't specify, you must spend X amount of dollars on education. Yeah.
Any other questions? Councilmember Tanaka?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So this grant basically would assist us with what programs we just put on for vaping, where officers went out and taught people about what vaping is about, and so that would pay for our officers to go out and teach that.
Chief, if you don't mind coming forward and clarify. That was my question as well. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, members of the City Council, that's correct. So we partner with ADAP, with GDAP, with BHS, and that's who was present this past weekend. So they will be out. They will be helping us educate the public, and it does help us pay for the officers to be out there to facilitate that training as well.
And that would also cover like materials and advertising and things that we need to get out to the public.
That's correct.
Okay. So, because we're doing this on our grant, we're basically doing what LA Unified School District is not doing for us?
We're supplementing everyone's efforts for our residents in the city of Gardena. So they although we do partner with Gardena High School to educate their teachers, the actual enforcement is actually within the city of Gardena, and our focus is on our residents here in the city of Gardena.
Okay, so that's where ADAP and all those other.
That's where all of our community partners come in.
And I commend you guys on getting that money because I know what the cigarette tobacco thing works for.
Chief, since we have you up here and we're talking about tobacco because of what this will pay for as far as educational side of it as well, can you just give us a quick overview how well Saturday's vaping event went?
The event was actually went very, very well. It was very educational. I always encourage more people to go out and to become aware of the dangers of vaping. We probably had 20 people in attendance. It was a very dynamic kind of educational experience. We broke the people that attended, off in groups. Actually, Detective Sterling Kim, who is sitting here tonight, put on that training. It was actually in different sessions in different groups. So it was very interesting to the people that were there. They enjoyed it, but we're going to put those presentations on more often as we go through the year and then into next year as well.
Okay, very good. Okay, thank you. Any more questions and comments? Well, it's good to know that now that we have this grant, the type of things that it's going to be used for, especially those type of educational seminars and things of that sort, because that's definitely what we need to continue educating the community. I know when I even mentioned it at one of the neighborhood watch meetings that the vaping was going to come up, people were shocked to hear that I believe it was one vial of the of a cartridge that goes in the vaping device is equivalent to a pack of cigarettes. So that's really shocking to a lot of people because they think it's just water vapor going up and it's not, tobacco. Okay, so with that, can I get a motion to adopt resolution number 6432?
So moved.
Okay. Madam City Clerk, there was a motion made by Councilmember Tanaka and a second by Councilmember Medina. Will you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Tanaka.
Yes.
Councilmember Medina.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Cascanian.
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson.
Yes.
And Mayor Serta.
Yes. Okay, next up is council directives. Are there any directives at this time from any member on the council? We're going to start here. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. City Manager, earlier on item 8E1, you mentioned about California Consulting, that they do or they used to do our grants. How long have we been working with them?
I would say about a year.
About a year. And is it possible I can get a complete report about this California Consulting, what they have done for us in 1 year period?
Mayor Pro Tem, in your packet, there's a memo that highlights the activities that California Consulting has provided us over the past year. This includes application for Prop 68, urban greening and such. So it's got a complete history of what they've done. So to date, we haven't received anything as far as. Yes, sir. If you don't have that, I can provide that to you at a later time. I can just make copies and.
Yeah, if I can have a copy, that would be great.
Certainly.
Okay.
Any other directives? Let's start over here. Councilmember, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was looking through my peripheral vision here. Henderson, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. In regard, I want to piggyback on Mayor Pro Tem's request on the grants update. Is it possible before we take any action with them to have them do a presentation for us at our next meeting so we can hear from them exactly some of the things and we can ask them some direct questions?
Certainly, but as I mentioned, I believe last meeting, I specifically, I ended the contractual agreement with California Consulting because I want to see first what rewards we get on the efforts that they're doing on behalf of the city. So we no longer employ them, and we don't have them on our retainer. So we're gonna reevaluate that later on and see if we do get some of these grants, and if we do, then those funds will pay for itself.
Okay.
Any other directives? Okay, is there a second on that, or no?
So, Mr. City Manager, in regards to that, I'm looking at some of the grants that weren't funded. As far as your criterion for reassessment of their services, which grant is going to be the grant that's kind of going to be the? Yeah, take a look at that. Oh, which grant will be the grant that be the one to say, okay, yeah, we got this much, and so we'll re-engage them, or which one will it be? I'm just curious.
So I would assume I would say it's the Prop 68 grant that we applied for, because that's the biggest one. We have some improvements at Johnson Park, Prim Pool, and the dog park. So if anything is going to be evaluated, it would be that. But like I said, if anything materializes, then we can certainly reevaluate the merits and the value of that consulting group.
Okay, so just keep us posted. Okay.
Go ahead, you had a question?
Yes, Madam Mayor. So if we terminated them, so that means they're not going to follow up on anything that they submitted or we submitted, right?
That's correct. That we are capable of following up on the grants that we submitted, and any future grants that we submit from here on out without California Consulting or any firm, grant writing firm that is out there. So we're going to be trying to do it ourselves for a little bit until we get clarification and see if we do get some of these grants that we applied for.
So we have the ability and the manpower to do that?
That's correct. For a year, we've been shadowing them on how to do things and where to go and the website and all the details. So we are abreast now and capable of doing that. So we'll apply to some of these grants that are coming up and see what happens. I just want to evaluate if spending money on a consultant versus staff doing it in-house there's a difference, because
yes.
Till to date we don't have anything to compare. We have no grants awarded yet, so
Is that the delay because of them, lack of effort, or maybe the state is holding it, or whoever they apply to?
So it's a little bit of both. Prop 68 certainly is delayed. We haven't received anything yet. We don't know if we got any of those or not. But there's some grants out here that we applied for, like urban greening grant, that we didn't get. There's the one for GGIP that we didn't get. So the track record isn't good at this point. So I made a decision to hold off instead of paying a monthly retainer on the consulting firm. Why not hold off and see what materializes?
I understand. I mean, if we have the staff who's going to do it, that's fine. I agree with you. But did we follow up with them at least? And what happened with the grants, or what their response?
So we had a standing meeting with them every 2 weeks, I believe, is the standing meeting with them. They update us on certain things, but they basically told us things that we already knew. That for example, Prop 68, there's no update yet. As for the few grants that I mentioned earlier, we didn't get them, so they updated us. Hey, you guys didn't get it. We don't have any a way to measure if they are proficient or not. So that's why I wanted to test it and see if staff does it, can we be successful as well?
Okay. My last request is I would like to get the whole full report, what they applied and what we got.
Sure.
So I don't have it over here with me.
I'll provide you with that.
Thank you.
Okay, so was there a second on your original request? No? Can I get a second on that?
Second.
Okay, done. Go ahead, and then we'll go to.
I just want to kind of like segue into this one, or throw in my 2 cents. So this company can't give us any particulars as to why we didn't get it and what they did and all that stuff. But back in the day, we used to have our own grant writer. I think her name was Gail Doy. And we paid a person to actually do grants for us. Now, I hear you saying staff, but so if we hire somebody like a Gail Doy to actually research and apply for grants and work on grants, because that person now is a part of our family and is a part of our group and is going to work diligently to get those grants, instead of some company that just says, oh, well, they didn't get the grant, but they're still paying us anyway. Is that something that directive we can look into, seeing what is it going to cost us to actually have a professional grant writer on our staff?
Doesn't it cost more to get a grant staff to write the grant versus hiring the company?
Right. It certainly would cost more to hire somebody full-time to do grants, but I tend to agree with Councilman Tanaka that this person would have the ownership, because they will become a part of the Gardena family, that we at least research why we didn't get it, or find the causes, and maybe you'll do a little bit better next time, as opposed to a company that, hey, you get your $4,000 this month, well, you didn't get it, so too bad. I mean, I'm sorry, but
Send me the check anyway.
Okay, Councilmember,
sorry.
well, I'm sorry, Councilman Medina wants to speak on
Okay,
this
go ahead.
item. I'm sorry, I'll let you come back.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but if a grant writer writes a grant, don't they get a piece of that grant? Yes or no?
I don't believe so, but I can check on that.
Yeah, well, to my knowledge, I know that a lot of people have jobs as grant writers, and they get a commission for the grant they write, regardless of who they're employed by. So that's another incentive to have a grant writer. I'm speaking on behalf of what Councilman Tanaka asked. As a grant writer, you do get a commission. It's state law. You do get a commission on the grant you write. Depending on what the amount is, will determine how much you get as far as quote-unquote a commission.
So I believe that the two pricing models that they presented to us when we first hired them, there was a component of a commission-based, and then there's a component of retainer-based, which we opted to do the retainer-based, which is $4,000 a month.
Yeah, we should have gone with the commission-based, because it's gives them incentive to get the grant written, and there's more incentive as far as making sure this is something we own. And secondly, I wanted to address what Councilman Cascanian asked for. I didn't get a copy, and neither did Councilman Tanaka, with regards to what you were going to send him. So send us a copy as well, please.
Will do.
Okay, Mayor Pro Tem, was there something more you want to add to it, or you did? Okay. Did everybody talk about it? We're all finished with it? Okay. Any other directives? No? Okay. Let's move on to city manager remarks regarding our previous directives and council items.
Mayor Serta, members of the City Council, in your packets, hopefully it's in there. I have a memo for you that details how the Gardena's representatives in the state legislature recently voted on AB 881, which is accessory dwelling units, or ADUs, and AB 66, which is the junior ADUs. Another memo which I talked about would be the California Consulting update. Another memo on a council directive by Mayor Serta about the Johnson Park pedestrian lighting update. Basically, what we found is there are two very tall light poles that was deactivated at the request or at the report of some residents that are adjacent to the park. They basically had a lower wall, a retaining wall, which was 6 feet. So the light was so powerful that it was penetrating through their backyard, and it was it was irritating them is what we've had. This is a number of years ago, and that's why those lights were turned off specifically by city staff.
Okay.
So, you know, to reactivate those, we can certainly do that, but we run the risk of the same complaints again from the residents with a powerful, you know, metal halide lighting. What I recommend that we do is wait until to see if we get Prop 68, because Prop 68 has a component where we can redo the entire park's lighting system, maybe direct it a little bit lower away and less obtrusive for the residents that live along Johnson Park.
Okay, thank you.
We can certainly look for that too. Look at changing the focus maybe.
The whole system, can't we just look at maybe making the light less, like a 100-watt bulb to a 60?
No, it's a different kind of light.
Well, I'm just saying, just
We'll look at options to see if.
Avoid LED and go with a standard, and it won't be so bright.
I also have a memo for you regarding overgrown trees at the Willows Preserve. Staff found that 4 trees are indeed overgrown and will be trimmed. Also have a memo regarding Chase Bank property update. Basically, what we found is that they're planning to do a lot split where they would like to keep the ATMs that are on there right now and sell the remaining portion of the lot. And they anticipate to put that in the market maybe in about 6 to 8 weeks is what we learned from them. We have a coffee with a cop Tuesday, March 10th, 2020 from 8:30 to 10:30 a.m. at the McDonald's on Artesia. We also have a homeless update on Saturday, April 25, 2020 from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the Nakaoka Community Center. Last but not least, we have a short video that shows the free shredding event that took place on February 1st. If you recall, a couple of months ago, we ran a survey campaign called Get Involved Gardena, where we asked the residents for their priorities and what's important to them. And one of the things that came out was, hey, we need document destruction service for the residents. And so we found a reasonable rate, and we put on this great event for our residents. It was well attended, and I believe we have a video. Madam Mayor, that ends my report.
Okay, thank you very much. That was a very good event. I'm sorry I missed it, but I did hashtag bring it back on my social media, so definitely want to participate next time. Okay, we're going to go ahead and begin with Counsel Remarks. We're going to begin tonight with Mayor Pro Tem Cascanian.
Yes, Madam Mayor, thank you. It was I did attend few events. First, the candidate forum that happened here in Raleigh Park, February 6th. Thank you, Torrance League of Women's, right, for putting it together. And on February 9th, I attended the Elks Lodge 66th birthday breakfast. Congratulations for Gardena Elks for 66 years. And the same day, I attended the ASA Armenian Sister Academy 35th anniversary dinner, and it was a successful event. And that's end my report, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Next is Councilmember Tanaka.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I pretty much did the same things as Councilman Cascanian. The birthday breakfast is always a good thing for the lodge because it shows you our history and the things that we've done for the last few years and those that were in charge. So congratulations to them. And yes, the candidates forum was very interesting. It was well attended. We thank the League of Women Voters. We thank the Raleigh Park Homeowners Association that put that on. And we thank all the city employees that worked diligently to make sure that that was a successful event. So with that, Madam Mayor, that's my report.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Henderson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll be brief. Since our last time together, I had a BizFed committee meeting, responsive governance. That was a pretty good meeting. I attended the Business and Entrepreneurship and Technology Academy mixer at Narbonne High School, which was great. Hadn't been up there in a while. SIU 2015 had a lunar celebration dinner, doing my community visits, and I also attended the candidates forum, and I would like to thank the community. I did, and I definitely want to thank our community for coming out, and it was a very proud moment that our community is highly engaged in our political process, so that's a great thing. And we had some filming happen in our community, so I tried to sneak on the set and get discovered. It did not happen. Security escorted me out. So I did not get discovered as the next Hollywood idol. So, Madam Mayor, so ends my report.
Okay, thank you. Since the last council meeting, I too attended the beta event that was at Narbonne, and as was mentioned, was the Business, Entrepreneur, and Technology Academic Mixer, and it was a lot of fun. The kids, or the young people, I should say, were there, and they were networking, and we had a lot of fun playing icebreaker games. Like Councilmember Henderson said, was there, and we had the opportunity to talk for a couple of moments to the young people about the advantages of networking and as far as how to prepare yourself when going out and meeting people. So I was really excited that we were able to attend that, and I look forward to going back to that again, or attending another event like that again. Also, since the last council meeting, I attended the funeral services of one of the local ministers in our city, a Pastor Herlon Futrell. We adjourned in memory of him at the last city council meeting. I also attended a repast for another resident who passed away, a Mr. Miguel Bermudez. Had a very nice repast with a lot of people there at the Elks Lodge, and it was very well attended. Also, I attended the candidates forum at Raleigh Park. It was a nice turnout, very interesting questions and statements that were asked there. Very interesting. There's a few that kind of stick out in my mind. There were statements that were made that Gardena approved over 4,000 condos in the city. And I just want to state openly and publicly, nothing like that exists. There are no 4,000 condos that are coming to Gardena. I heard even offline that the city was on the verge of bankruptcy. We are not, and we are not hiding it. What else did I hear? Oh, there are new plans with U-Haul on the corner of Rosecrans and Van Ness. That is not true. There are no new plans in order. There might be some old plans circulating around that are coming about, maybe asking for storage on that corner, but nothing new. And I even heard things that there were people who were responsible for getting the city $26 million out of debt, and that was not true. And just for clarification, our previous city manager, Mitch Lansdale, and our previous mayor, Paul Tanaka, was responsible for that. So I just like to clear the air with all of that. But I did find it very, very interesting. A lot of these statements are going on there. So Glad I'm able to kind of set the record straight, and I always encourage everybody, fact check me if you're not for sure of anything that I've stated. So all this information is out there if anybody would like to follow up on even my statement here. One comment here, and that was in regarding what we talked about earlier about the vaping, the seminar that we had on last Saturday. I think it'd be a great idea if we would also maybe extend that to our neighborhood watch meetings as well, because a lot of the parents and grandparents who attend those meetings, they can share that information with their young people as well too. So we just want to make sure we're getting it all the way around. So just a suggestion as well. And with that ends my report. And next up is Councilmember Medina.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd also like to clear up some statements that were made by some of the candidates, which is not true. They claim that we, the city, don't address any problems on Rosecrans, and I, for a fact, know that we spent $22 million to revamp Rosecrans from Vermont all the way to Crenshaw and reduce the speed, reduce accidents, and the city invests a lot, not only north of Gardena, also south of Gardena. So when they bring up those divisive statements that only the south side gets stuff and the north side doesn't, it's not true. And we have proof that our public works people work diligently to get everything taken care of, not only on the north side, but also on the south side. So the $22 million, I feel very proud of the fact that I brought it in through the SCAG grants that we applied for. All the cities 16 cities were told that the grants were available. The only 3 cities that picked it up was Gardena, Inglewood, and Hawthorne. And you've seen how they've revamped their streets and byways. And we're very fortunate that we had $92 million. 22 was spent on Rosecrans. We're spending more money on Artesia and also on Western. So for those who are claiming to be candidates to get involved in our community, do your homework, please. I also attended a vector control conference in San Diego last week, where I found out more about mosquitoes, more about ticks, more about pigs and hogs. How they're related, you don't want to know, but they are. So all I'm asking all of you to, please, if you have any standing water, please empty it out. If you can't avoid it, like at the bottom of the pots, spray it with WD-40 and this larvae won't hatch and stuff like that. Also, I delivered 7 birthday cakes to convalescent homes, and we found out that we have a lady who lives in the Gardena Convalescent Home. She's 103 here in Gardena, and she was very happy because she actually thought that birthday cake was for her. And her birthday was in January, and I said, yes, it's for you. So you can share it with everybody else. She goes, no. But she did. So I was very happy with that. The fact that it was her birthday and she thought the cake was for her, and she shared it with the rest of the convalescent home. I also, I'm very proud of the fact that I had a meeting with the principal of Gardena High School, and she gave me one of these green, I guess what do you call these, bracelets? For those of you who are Gardena High School graduates, 100 days of perfect attendance. So they're celebrating that today. It's 100 days worth of perfect attendance, and to them, attendance is knowledge. So with that, that ends my report.
Okay, one announcement here, and that is there's another candidates forum that's this coming Thursday, February the 6th. I'm sorry, wrong date here. February 13th, and it's at the I was reading the top half of the flyer. It's at the Nakoka Community Center, which is located at 1670 West 162nd Street. It will begin at 6 o'clock, and it'll be from 6 to 7 p.m. The second half of it will be the Los Angeles Unified School District, District 7, I believe, I'm assuming that's a candidates forum there, and that portion will be from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. And I'm sure we'll have more information of this in our foyer area where most of our flyers are at. So I'm going to move on to remembrances here. Tonight we're going to adjourn in memory of Mr. Kenneth L. Dixon, 62 years of age, and was the beloved father of recreation leader Kendra Dixon of the City of Gardena Recreation and Human Services Department, and the beloved husband of the former City of Gardena employee Deborah Dixon, who worked in the Human Resources Division. We're also going to be adjourning in memory of Mrs. Annabella Lily Ward, who was 96 years old, longtime resident of Gardena, who loved to shop in Gardena and be involved in Gardena activities. And all the grandchildren she raised attended Gardena schools. We're also going to adjourn in memory of Mr. Michael Dorschel, 50 years old, the beloved son of Mrs. Sheila Dorschel, who was a longtime Gardena resident and businesswoman, as well as a member of the Copcat and the Gardena Valley Lions Club. We're also going to adjourn in memory of Mrs. Linda Platas. She was 55 years old and the beloved stepmother of customer service clerk Sarah Platas with the City of Gardena Transportation Department. We're also adjourning in memory of Mrs. Diane Hill, who was 62 years old. She was the beloved sister of the bus operator Tanya Hill with the City of Gardena Transportation Division. And lastly, we're adjourning in memory of the Honorable Councilmember Emeritus Gwendolyn Joyce Duffy, who was 97 years old, a longtime resident of Gardena, the first woman to be elected to the Gardena City Council, serving the city in that capacity from April of 1982 until March of 1999, and honored on the city's Wall of Fame in 2001. She was a member of the VFW Ladies Auxiliary, Gardena Emblem Club, the Gardena Valley Friends of the Library, the Gardena Carson Family YMCA Board of Directors, the former YWCA of Gardena Valley, the Gardena Sister City Association, and the Gardena Drug and Alcohol Abuse Prevention, also known as GDAP, to name a few. She also chaired the former Gardena WETIP Committee. Additionally, she was a recipient of numerous local, state, and international awards for her dedicated service, which focused on family, youth, education, community, and good government. So at this time, the Gardena City Council will adjourn to our next regularly scheduled meeting, which will be at 7 p.m. on Tuesday, February 25th, 2020. And we are actually adjourning before 9 o'clock. And so we are now adjourned. Thank you.